Tonight on UPfront, to review the two-day Arise Ghana demonstration that saw some chaos and razzmatazz, but more importantly, we'll ask what's the way forward in dealing not only with the violence, but also the demands of the protesters. After this break. Now, the Arise Ghana demonstrators have for the second time hit the streets of Accra to continue their planned protest. We know that the organizers of the group, together with the supporters, gathered at the El Sports Stadium before proceeding on their march. But what happened today is markedly different from what we saw yesterday. The first exercise, which was held yesterday, ended the chaos with 29 demonstrators being arrested. As we understand, they are being prepared for court. Already, one person today too had been arrested for the possession of firearms amidst the very difficult, tense moments that they found themselves. But they also submitted some petitions to the Ministry of Finance and Parliament. Now, joining us now is the Deputy Minister of Information. We'll be having a conversation about what happened, but more importantly, the very concerns they raised. What is government doing about them? Honorable Fatima Abubakar, you're welcome to UPfront.
Thanks for having me, Raymond. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, the very essence of this engagement is that at the end of the day, you submit a petition. We know what happened yesterday. Very regrettable action leading to some chaos and all of that. Today was markedly different, but you have the ears of those in the high echelons of security. How do they assess what has happened today?
Thank you very much, Raymond. Let me first of all say good evening to your cherished viewers and those who are following us on your various social media platforms. For what those who handle security problems are thinking, I wouldn't be in a position to inform you about it. All that I can say is the fact that as a government, we have no intention and plan to stop any citizen of this country who intends to go on demonstration. It is their right guaranteed under Article 21, Clause 1D of the 1992 Constitution. And as a government, we hold it in high esteem and we uphold the 1992 Constitution and wouldn't be in any position to stop any citizen from exercising such guaranteed rights. That being said, if government has any concern at all, is the fact that if demonstrators want to use, ties, they want to use firearms, they want to peel stones, of course we will be concerned because we have a responsibility as stewards to make sure everything in the country is moving on smoothly. Also, if any group of individuals announce to embark on demonstration and they intend to brandish guns and say we want to demonstrate with our guns or our own security, of course, government will be concerned. That being said, I've always mentioned that I don't think there is any precedent under the Fourth Republican Constitution who has embarked on more demonstrations than President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. As a human rights lawyer and leader of this country, from Kumi Preku all the way to Wongbo, the president himself has marched with demonstrators. If we talk about what actually happens on the grounds of every demonstration, he is someone who has first-hand information and knowledge of it. So far as we are concerned, we thank God that the two-day demonstration has come to an end. If there were any incidents yesterday, I watched the press conference of the organizers of the Arise Ghana demonstration. I have also seen a number of releases by the police service on their Facebook page, and I believe it is uncalled for that any point in time the police service who go out there to protect us should be injured. Likewise, it is never our wish that any individual will march out there and be injured. But back to your substantive question, as a government, with those views expressed, what we are looking at is the fact that this afternoon the demonstrators went to the Ministry of Finance I am informed that the two deputy ministers, Honorable John Kuma and also Honorable Abna Osei-Asare, received the petition on behalf of government. I am also informed that they proceeded to Parliament and the majority leader, Honorable Osei-Chairmansa Bonsu, and the minority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and some members of Parliament also received a petition on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker and leadership of the House.
Now,
that being said,
I will come
yes.
to, forgive me, I will come to that, but there's a few things that, there are a few things that I really wish to draw your attention to. Perhaps we clear them and move on from there. Can you give us the status of the gentleman who was arrested with the gun or the ammunition that we were told about earlier today? How about the 29 others who were told were arrested from yesterday? Do we know what's happened to them in the last 24 hours?
Raymond, I wouldn't be in any position to inform you. Apart from what the police service have put on their social media pages, I don't believe I'm in any position to speak for them or know what their operational details are.
Brilliant.
Just like you, I wait to see what they have to say or what they have to put out in terms of press statements. Quite apart from that, I'm not in any position to know what has happened to those individuals because unfortunately, we are not directly parties to this demonstration.
Yeah.
I am neither a member of Arise Ghana, nor am I with the police service.
Now,
so we go off with the kind of information both of them put out, and also the kind of videos and still photos that we see people post on social media and some credible platforms like yourself put out there.
Now, it's important, though, that this point, yesterday, the information minister in the evening had said that there is an obvious attempt to create instability in the country, mindful of the chaos that actually greeted the incidents there. In fact, he talked about how the evolution of the events of the day suggests that this is something that was pre-planned to cause chaos. Is it a position government has abandoned, mindful of what happened today?
No. What? As I said, the Honorable Minister he's had the opportunity to watch some material on TV and listen to what happened on radio and read statements and followed events. Likewise, I have also followed events. As I mentioned yesterday, I was on your platform for a similar interview. And I said, with every right comes a responsibility. So clearly, you would expect that the leadership of the Arise Ghana demonstration would comply with every provision of the Public Order Act, specifically the provisions under Section 3, which expects them to bear some responsibility of a sort. For instance, if you look at the Section 3, subsection 2 of the Public Order Act, it reads that a person taking part in a special event shall obey the directions of the police officers, safeguarding the proper movement of any other persons and vehicles, and generally to maintain order. Raymond, you and I are aware that the aftermath of yesterday's demonstration, we saw a lot of stones that even before the demonstration, you could not find at any side of the road where the demonstration took place. We also saw people burning ties. All those things were uncalled for. And also to think that a high court will give an order as to the route and time the demonstration should take place because, of course, based on the chronology of events narrated by both the organizers of the demonstration and also the police service, they went to court because, of course, there was no consensus. That being said, if there was a ruling by the courts and Arise Ghana as an organization did not appeal against the ruling, Raymond, let's put that on record. Arise Ghana did not appeal against the ruling of the High Court. Neither did they file for stay of execution of the orders of the court. The only person who appealed in this case is the second respondent in the case. That was my brother Bernard Mona. And you would expect that the appeal and the application for stay is to the extent that my brother would have waited for the returning date, appeared before the court, make his case, and hope that the court will give favorable directions. But clearly, what he sought to get from the court, he did not have the patience to wait till the return date filed on the motion paper, which is 12 July 2022, but proceeded to get to the grounds and say we want to change routes and use the Jubilee House. I must say that for the fact that the second day has been more organized and peaceful is a good thing. It is not in anybody's interest, including the interest of government, that there is chaos at demonstrations. And Raymond, I am not just talking because I'm a government spokesperson. I'm talking as someone who has been a serial participant of demonstrations in this country. I have been part of Let My Vote Count demonstrations,
Very well.
including the demonstration in 2015, which led to Mr. Justice Ajakuma losing his eyes and eventually losing his life. So, of course, we don't want violence at any demonstration.
The point, though, I mean, and I stress that point because it was to many people a very serious statement about the attempt to create instability in the country. Is it the position of government? But that was what was happening yesterday. And is today giving government a different view about this demonstration?
Raymond, one thing that is established is that there is no contention that yesterday the demonstrators pelted the policemen with stones when they refused to allow them to use the unapproved route. That is the fact. I watched a press conference by the organizers, but they were also alleging that they thought the service had made some ununiformed people infiltrated the public and they started throwing stones so that it will give them a reason to, respond in any manner. My point is that if you lead an organization or group of people, if you throw an invitation to the public that come out in your thousands, come out in your hundreds, come out in all manner of numbers, as leaders, you also have to understand the principle of collective responsibility. It will be your responsibility as group leaders to sensitize the invitees, to educate the invitees that the only reason why we are on the streets is because the 1992 Constitution has allowed us to go on the streets. But that being said, the Public Order Act also insists that we bear some responsibility so that we do not destroy public property, we do not destroy property, we do not cause chaos. So if the police had grounds that if they use the unapproved routes, it will lead to any violence of a sort, the leadership of the demonstrators ought to have known that let us go with what the court has said. Any attempt to step aside or move away from what has been directed by the courts is an attempt to cause chaos or confusion in the country. And I believe the Honorable Minister put that statement correctly.
Okay, so the question I'm asking is whether or not the conclusion that this is an attempt to create instability is that of the security services and the very highest level of government in this case, and whether that position has changed today, mindful of what happened.
Raymond, let me repeat, I don't speak for the security services.
I get you.
As we speak, I am not in any position to even think what they are thinking. I don't have the training and I don't have the exposure as well.
But when the
what I
substantive
am
minister,
saying is that
I
reiterated that
when the substantive minister, yes, Honorable, just one point. When the substantive minister says that there is an obvious attempt to create instability, I'm asking, is the substantive minister saying today that that attempt was by these demonstrators or people unknown to these demonstrators or the organizers of this demonstration? I just want that clarity in this particular case. Some more information to inform us of how solid that position was.
Raymond, I am not saying anything different from what the Honorable Minister said. You cannot carry a gun to any public protest. You cannot carry stones or machetes to public protests. We were here. Another group made an announcement that they are going to embark on demonstration. One of the conveners of one of the groups announced that he is going to embark on a demonstration using guns, carrying his own guns. Raymond, I believe some of you should use your good platform to inform Ghanaians that where your right is, other people who may not be with you also have similar rights.
Okay.
So those who are responsible for the law and order of the country, those who are responsible for the protection of public property and human lives will be left with no choice. If you want to go on a demonstration or protesting grounds carrying a gun, if you intend to going to burn ties, they would have to take some action to make sure you yourself you are protected. Other members of the public who may be passers-by but who are not members of your protest group are also protected. They would have to protect public property because Raymond, if you are rallying people to bring pressure on government for the fact that certain things ought to have been done, we need better economic conditions. You don't achieve that by destroying the few assets of the nation, like roads, like police vehicles, like other properties belonging to the states. If you do that, you end up causing the government to spend the scarce resources to fix all these things that you have destroyed, instead of channeling those resources into other important things which would have benefited all of us as Ghanaians. So all that I am saying is that if you go to a protest carrying any weapon, be it stone, be it pistol or machete, the conclusion by any reasonable person is that you want to cause instability. And it is only an appeal. I passed by the demonstrators yesterday at 1 p.m. I had just moved from my office at Adabraka to a meeting. I saw them at Obra Sport. I didn't have any bad feeling.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have been a big
get,
fan of
I
demonstration.
get
It
your
was
point.
just a nostalgic feeling. Yes.
Is it not interesting that in all the statement the police put out there, this element of creating instability was never raised by the police? It's not interesting.
Raymond, we don't speak for the police.
Yeah, okay.
We don't.
But
So
if the
let me
police is
reiterate that
obviously not of the
our
opinion that this
positions,
is what
we
happened.
have clarity.
Okay.
As I told you earlier on, directly, we don't have any stakes in this demonstration.
Okay, I get your
But for
point.
the fact that the issues that have been raised are directed to government, and then we have our ministers at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs receiving the party, and leadership of parliament receiving the party. And as a listening government, Raymond, I assure you that everything that has been raised has either been addressed or will be addressed. And we are committed to listening to all Ghanaians, irrespective of political differences.
I'm going to that point now. Which of the issues that have been raised by the protesters have already been addressed? You said either been addressed or being addressed. Which of them have been addressed so far?
Okay, let me mention three key things that have been addressed or are being addressed. Among other things, the protesters were asking that we reduce spending. The second thing is that we reduce borrowing. And the third thing is that we remove fuel taxes. Raymond, you are aware that in March, I think somewhere 18th March 2022, the Minister for Finance, after a cabinet retreat, came out to inform Ghanaians that governments, being aware of the economic conditions that Ghanaians are experiencing, and the fact that since COVID came, government has done so many things to make sure we remove Ghanaians from the situation, including giving free water, electricity, PPEs, fumigation exercises, procuring vaccines, and so on and so forth. Vis-a-vis government's inability to mobilize enough revenue domestically due to the fact that productivity is down, there is disruption in global supply chain, among others. Government is taking further measures so that we will be in a position to, consolidate our debts, make sure our debt to GDP ratio is restored to a good position. Make sure we spend within certain threshold that will allow us to take up some critical infrastructure projects. Make sure we are able to pursue the kind of economic growth that will lead us to pre-COVID levels. What did government do? Among other things, Government has reduced expenditure by 20%. I'm talking about expenditure cuts as part of fiscal stabilization and debt sustainability measures. So if you are aware, the quarterly allocation that are sent to the MDAs, government has already reduced that
But
expenditure by
those things were
20%.
done before the protest happened. Those things were done before. In fact, I think what they actually been saying consistently is that post those measures that were put in place, there's still a lot of hardship in the country. Fuel is still skyrocketing, and that there's a lot more that needs to be done. That's the question I'm asking. Exactly what is
Raymond,
government doing
I am
differently?
coming to that. I
Oh,
was
okay.
going to address exactly that, but
Okay.
I could not get the opportunity to land.
All right. No,
I
no,
am
but please do.
saying,
All right.
apart from the 20% expenditure cuts, additional 10% cuts on discretionary spending, 50% reduction on fuel coupons, 30% cut of salaries of ministers, deputy ministers, CEOs, and political appointees of government from April to December 2020, liaising with organized labor to see how best they can address reforms in terms of salary inequality, connecting with some stakeholders within the mining sector, telco sector, multinationals to look at repatriation of profits, how we will be able to, retention policy when it comes to repatriation of profits. And those engagements, the ministry has already announced that the central bank is leading such engagements. Raymond, that being said, before the protests, somewhere Monday, the Honorable Minister for Information and my boss, Honorable Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, announced that government is holding some stakeholder engagements, and we have a delegation that comprises of the Minister for Agriculture, the Minister for Trade, the Minister for Information, the Minister for Transport, the Senior Presidential Advisor, Honorable Nanaya Osafo-Maafo, and other leading members of this government, holding some engagements, the purpose of which is to engage stakeholders in assessing the impact of those measures that government announced in March. Has there been any positive impact? Have they adequately addressed some of the issues for which those measures came? If not, what proposed additional measures can be put in place? What variations are the public calling for? And as I speak to you, Raymond, those engagements are ongoing. I am aware that on Monday, the delegation met the transport unions, they met the market queen mothers, they met trade organizations, among other groups. And as I mentioned to you, from Monday to Thursday, 30th June, those engagements are ongoing. It is only after these stakeholder engagements that there will be clarity as to the direction that government is going. And I believe we are committed to communicating those outcomes to the public. So even before the demonstration, we were embarking on a self-assessment and stakeholder engagement that will put us in a position, just as what they are calling for, to find out whether indeed those measures work. That being said, in the petroleum sector, in April, the price buildup was reduced by 15 pesos because government wanted to reduce the cost at pump. I believe the National Petroleum Authority and other stakeholders are also having further engagements. As I follow some of the panel discussions that have been held on your media house and other media houses, and also had the benefit of briefs with some stakeholders within the extractive sector, and also the regulatory body and other stakeholders.
So we should expect a reduction in fuel price anytime soon?
I'm saying the reduction will be an outcome of the engagement that is ongoing. What should be done? If I sit here and tell you, they want to reduce by a peso or 1 cedi or 2 cedi, Raymond, I wouldn't be in a position to make any commitment until such a time that the engagements are over.
I get your point. Now, before I let you go, there's an important question that's on the minds of many. You have consistently referenced the conduct of the protesters yesterday. Do you think the police did anything wrong? Or do you think there's a need for a general review of the conduct of the police in this particular case? Maybe an independent review.
Raymond, as you are aware, the petitions that have been sent to Parliament include such requests for investigation. I have mentioned again, I am not an expert in security services. I don't even know the protocols of their operation. I don't know their mandate and wouldn't be in a position to inform the public as to what they were directed to do and whether they worked according to what they were asked to do and whether their actions were in accordance with proper protocols as to how they handle crowd control. It is only a post-analysis of such a situation by expert stakeholders within the security sector that could give us such a conclusion.
Is government expecting that to be done?
I apologize for not being able to give a conclusive statement on that matter.
I'm just asking whether government is expecting that something of that sort will be done, a review of the conduct of the police on the day.
As I sit here, I don't have such a brief, and if I do get such a brief, I will reach out to you and ask for an opportunity to give further particulars on that.
Are you aware of any protester that was hurt from yesterday? Are you aware of any single protester that was hurt from yesterday? You referenced the 12 or so who were police officers. I'm asking
I have seen, I think I saw some pictures on social media. That is of some. I saw a gentleman with an injured eye. I also saw a picture of a policeman with an injured ear. I saw another policeman with a bandage on the head. I saw a female policewoman. I've seen a few pictures that I just go off from what people or platforms like yours have shared on social media. And also videos. That's just
government officials have been visiting police officers who have been injured in the hospital. Has there been any such visit to any protester who has been injured?
Raymond, I am not even aware of any such visits, whether to the policemen at the hospitals or even to protesters in the hospital. But that's when I'm on top of such a brief, I will keep you updated.
My very last question is to do with the threat to our collective security, which is a very serious thing. Exactly what is government doing about that as we speak?
Raymond, the issue is that, we are not on an island. Let me put it that way. And although we have our sovereignty, we don't live in isolation. Raymond, we are in a situation whereby our sub-region, the West Africa sub-region, is going through a serious security crisis, whereby we know there is a military coup in Burkina Faso. On top of that military coup, we have militants who are not even aligned with the military regime. That is how bad it is. We have a situation in Mali. We have a situation in Guinea-Conakry. There was an attempted coup in some other parts of the sub-region. We have seen attacks in Nigeria. Just last Sunday, in Benin, a police station was attacked. Policemen were killed. We have seen several incidents in Niger, in even our neighboring Togo in recent times. If it is something that as any citizen of this country, irrespective of where you belong, is not concerned, I will say that we ought to be concerned because we have a responsibility to help leadership of this country to protect
because I'm running out of time. The question I'm actually asking is that it's obvious you have identified people with the intent to cause disability, destabilize the country, right? The instability.
Raymond, I didn't get your question.
No,
I didn't get your question.
So the question is that what are you going to do about people you say you have identified who have the intent to cause instability in the country? That's basically what I'm asking.
Oh, Raymond, if anyone is identified, of course, we are in a democracy. Everyone deserves their day in court. I don't think there is any avenue to addressing some of these issues rather than applying the laws of Ghana. I don't think there is any. As a government, of course, I don't think we would use any avenue whatsoever.
Okay.
And the court system, I trust because, of course, everyone will get their day in court and have the opportunity to, speak to their innocence or to admit to.
So we have arrested some people. Are these the people we insist are the ones intending to create disability? This
I think that
instability.
question should go to the police service
Okay.
who did that arrest. I don't even know the people you are talking about. So
I understand
I
you
don't think I'm in
perfectly.
a position. Yes, please.
I mean, Bro Jajafi is joining me in studio. Are you in the position to congratulate protesters today for putting up a very good behavior?
As compared to yesterday, of course, I mean, there should always be middle grounds for us to, meet as brothers and sisters.
Okay.
If today, apart from someone who had a pistol, I'm told, who was arrested, I don't think there was any chaos that has come to my attention. I wasn't part of the protest.
Okay.
But if they were able to conduct themselves to also help the police service to have a peaceful protest, go to the ministries and go to parliament, it is a good thing. So, of course, if Broja Jengfi is in the studio, tell him that if they want to embark on protests, they should go on having peaceful protests and no provocation whatsoever. If they go on with peaceful protests, nobody has anything against them. And they know that they can have the assurance of this government.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate your time, Honorable. So just joining us via Zoom is the Deputy Information Minister, Fatima Abubakar. I'm in studio here with a man who had participated right from yesterday till today. I'm not sure when he slept, but he's been active since morning, speaking and representing the protesters in this particular case. Broja, some time ago, was a youth leader of the NDC in the Ashanti region. I hope you are doing well.
I'm good, Raymond.
Brilliant. So
It's been a while.
yes, let's compare the 2 days, yesterday and today. Will you say today was more successful?
Well, I think that today has been very, very successful. And we commend the protesters, all the people that joined the demonstration. They comported themselves. I heard the Deputy Minister talk about somebody who was arrested with a pistol.
Yeah.
Per our information, he's not a leader of Arise Ghana. And we are getting some indications that he has something to do with national security. I'm sure maybe the police, yes.
They are sharing pictures on social media suggesting he is an MP's bodyguard. Is it true?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
But
have you seen those
from our checks,
yes,
he is not,
part of the protesters.
Part of the protesters. If he was a bodyguard to an MP, I'm sure he would have been a police officer, because MPs have
perhaps private security, maybe.
No, MPs have official police bodyguards. So the police may be able to come out with information about that.
So you are saying that for us, one of your
not at all. So for us, I think that we have to also commend the Ghana Police Service for exhibiting professionalism today, unlike what happened yesterday. And so we have series of actions to undertake. And so it will be in the interest of the police to always engage us and to have agreements before we take any of our actions. Because from today, you hear about some of the things that we are going to do. We are not leaving the streets until our demands are met. So compared to yesterday, today has been very successful. The police have conducted themselves well. But even with yesterday, I think that the police rather provoked themselves because they had a predetermined agenda not for the demonstration to happen.
What's the basis of this claim?
Okay, so we gave the police almost a month notice of this demonstration. Initially, we said we wanted to have a 2-day demonstration non-stop. And they said that they could not give us an overnight security because of some threats and all that. And we agreed and said that we're going to have day 1 and day 2. But day 1 will close at 10 p.m. and day 2 was going to close at 5 p.m. They wrote back to us that 10 p.m. would eat into the night. And so we should do something before night falls. They didn't give any time in their letter. So we also wrote back to them and said that we agreed with them. So we are willing to close before 10 p.m. But when we have a meeting and discuss, we would have a common ground. So we went to the police headquarters. We met with the hierarchy. And they said that before night falls meant 6 p.m. for them. And we were also talking about 10 p.m. So we should find a median time which they said 7 p.m. and we were saying 8 p.m. So the agreement generally was that we'll close at 7. But in order not for the police to rush us at 7, we had time to leave the place before 8 p.m. That was the agreement we had with the police on the 23rd of June this year. Only for them to spring a surprise on us by going to court and raising issues about route and all of that. I have one of the letters that they wrote to us, even commending us. You see, on 13th of June,
okay,
when after we had written to them on the 8th, they sent a letter to us. This is re-amendment of notice of demonstration. We acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 8 June on the above subject matter and wish to thank you for your cooperation so far towards the organization of your intended demonstration. This kind of cooperation is necessary to foster stronger relations between the Ghana Police Service and the public. The public we serve as we continue to deepen our democracy. So the next paragraph, they say, we have, however, observed your proposal that on day 1 of the demonstration, you hope to start from 3 p.m. and end at 10 p.m. From the security perspective, we are of the view that allowing the activities of your demonstration to go into the night, where we will be under the mercy of the cover of darkness, could have serious security implications in the light of the national security alert and possible terrorist threats. We therefore urge you to start a lot earlier than 3 p.m. So that you can end before night falls. Nowhere in this letter did they talk about the route, because we had agreed with them.
Okay.
Now, when they went to court about the time, even after we had agreed to close at 8, they now went back to an earlier disagreement of the route and said that they will not allow us go to the Flagstaff House. And so we should go to the Independence Square. It went to court, the court processes.
Okay.
So our lawyers advised us that because we have filed stay of execution and appeal, we could still go ahead and use our original route. But we should meet with the police and find a compromise on this, deadlock. So at the grounds, at the Kwame Nkrumah Amusement Park, inside the park, we met with the top hierarchy of the police. COP Nyonu was there, one Awini, I don't know his rank, another lady.
All right.
So we had a discussion that, okay, you had agreed for us. Our intention was to go to 3, significant places.
Yeah.
The Flagstaff House, the ministries, and Parliament. So if you will not allow us to go to the Flagstaff House, fine, we accept it. Let us go to the ministries yesterday, so that today we will only go to Parliament. That was our proposal with them. And it sounded reasonable, looking from the faces and the body language of the officers who were meeting. Okay. But they said that they wanted to place a call. You see, and maybe after COP is the IGP. I don't know if any other person beyond the IGP. So after the court, they said they will not allow that.
But you were insisting on going.
No. So we said that if they will not allow us, then we will not also move on the route they have given us, because we are doing our demonstration. We have our objectives. We know why we are doing our demonstration. If the police has a route that is good for demonstration,
so
they can go on it.
You could have abandoned this, right?
So we said that then we will not move, because we were not ready to use the route that the police were giving us.
Okay.
So we said that, okay, then we'll stay here until the 4 p.m. and disperse. That's what we told them. It's not like we went. So when we called the people and we're addressing them, that the police are saying that they will not allow us.
So you not push up against the police barricade.
So I'm coming. So at the point when we, the leadership of the group, we were addressing the people.
Okay.
Then we heard about some noise. They said there were some confrontation with some of the protesters. So some of us, the leadership, started moving towards that direction. And this happened at the exit of the interchange towards the ring road. Mm-hmm. And that place, the police had already barricaded that place with their armored vehicles and with men. And so there was no way anybody with any force could push through the police, because if the place was not barricaded, there was no need for us to meet the police. We could have used it.
The information minister says that the tear gas first came from the protesters?
I will address that. So when we were heading towards that direction, that we saw that the police were shooting into the crowd and throwing the hot water and all of those, force were being applied. If you review some of the videos, you would notice that there were some men in reflectors, some green reflectors. Yeah. They were our security.
Okay.
And we told the police that we were going to provide about 700 of such people.
Oh, I see.
And they will be identified. Yes, we told the police. You would notice in the video that these were the people who were waving for the protesters to stop throwing any object at the police.
Okay.
And so we had an agenda to go on a peaceful demonstration. The police from the beginning showed that they were unwilling to allow the demonstration. Even in court, when they went to court and we filed appearance, they told the judge that they were not ready for the case to be heard. Only for the judge to say that the demonstration is tomorrow. So clearly they didn't want the demonstration to happen. And they knew that anything that happened on day 1 will affect the success of day 2.
Was today successful?
Very, very successful.
Numbers.
Yes.
Estimated. Did you get the numbers that you wanted?
Exactly. You can review the videos. We were not even expecting, because of what happened yesterday, we were not expecting.
When are they saying they are going to arrest you? Because you're an organizer.
We don't
They have indicated that some of you organizers should be bearing the cost of the distraction.
Today we were with the police throughout.
Yeah. But it would not be smart for them to do
it. Well, if the police invite the leadership, we will go.
You'll go.
If they arrest us, we can't resist it. I mean, we will be taken through due process. They have said that they are reviewing their videos. Okay. If they review the videos and they see where the leadership asks people to go and throw stones at the police or burn ties or push the police, they should act on it.
Is it your view that you have to instruct people to do those things first before you take responsibility for it?
We think that there's an agenda to brand Arise Ghana as a violent group. And that agenda is what started yesterday. By the police provoking themselves or whatever means, and government officials also feeding into it.
The information minister says
are not
to create instability.
We are not a violent group. Who goes out rioting or with an intention to riot and write to the police 1 month ahead? It doesn't make sense.
Where did the stones come from?
You know where the police had barricaded? Yeah. There's on the left side of the police where they had barricaded. There's a lorry parked there. And that place is has not been paved or.
Okay. So that's where they picked up this.
I'm sure, because even some of the videos you would find that the people were on the top of the left side of the police, who were that I saw some videos that there were.
Have you identified more agents provocateurs in your message that you want to hand over to the police?
We identified one person.
Only one cannot be the one instigating all the trouble.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Even if it's one person, the person must face the law.
What's the status of the person? Is the person being investigated?
The regional commander said that they were going to investigate it. But was
he arrested?
We knew that the person was a police officer.
Was he arrested?
He was not. The police rather shielded him. When the people wanted, because at a point, some of the protesters themselves were advising their colleagues that, look, let's stop this. Let's stop this. And people were still throwing stones. So they identified one person who threw a stone and they went towards the person. So some of the leadership intervened and said that let's take him to the police. Rather, when they took him to the police shielded the person and refused to arrest the person.
The police in a tweet says they spotted a demonstrator today,
yes.
Joshua Akamba. And I want to believe the same Joshua Akamba who is the NDC's national organizer.
Who is the national organizer.
With a weapon among the crowd of demonstrators gathered at the AirWalk today. Verified?
Well, that's what the police
But what do you organizers know about this incident?
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, I know that one person was arrested.
But that's not Joshua Akamba.
That's not Joshua Akamba.
What happened to the Joshua Akamba situation?
I think that maybe you should complete the tweet.
But that's what they actually wrote there. That's the entirety of what they had put out there about he being.
No, I've read this tweet and I realized that they said they advised him to put away
notify other demonstrators this from carrying other offensive weapons.
Yes, which meant that to the police that was not an offense.
But was that acceptable?
Well, I don't know about this.
Is he an organizer of the demonstration? Is Joshua Acquah an organizer of this demonstration?
No, Joshua Acquah is the NDC national organizer.
Yes, but did he join as an organizer?
Exactly. Some of NDC members are part of the Arise Ghana leadership.
Is he an organizer?
Because
is he part of you, the leadership? Is Joshua Acquah a leading member of this particular?
Of course, because he's the NDC national organizer. Okay. And if he's a member of the Arise Ghana, he must
Were you aware he brought...
I'm not aware. In fact,
as organizers, were you aware?
No, nobody was supposed to...
Did you agree that your leadership should bring guns to weapons to the police?
How? With what had happened yesterday?
Yes.
How was anybody going to carry...
Were you shocked that he did carry this particular arm?
I'm saying that I don't know about this issue. And if indeed, truly he had a sidearm, the police ought to have taken action. But to the extent that the police said they advised him, meant that maybe it was not at the grounds, maybe he had permission to carry his sidearm or whatever. Throughout the demonstration, I saw Joshua Acquah. He had no sidearm on him. Okay,
now let me ask this question, because 29 people who were there yesterday had also been arrested. What's their status today?
Not only... okay, let's deal with the arrest first.
Okay.
Yes, there are a number of people who were arrested. We have heard stories of how they were arrested. Yesterday night, somebody who was injured after the demonstration going towards the house was arrested at Nima police station.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He had a dressed, cut on the forehead, and he was in red. They just arrested him. I'm sure he's part of the 29 they are talking about. Our lawyers have been engaging with the police. This morning, the information I got was that they did not, because some of them were sent to the headquarters, some of them were sent to Adabraka and other areas. They've been engaging with the police. But at the headquarters, the information I got was that they didn't allow the lawyers.
Have they been charged?
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know. But the leadership will have a meeting this evening and will visit those. Some other leadership has been visiting the police stations. But we will also visit those who were injured. You spoke about several people who were injured. Some of them were not even part of the protesters.
Okay.
Many of them. Some of them were not.
Are there more than the 12 police officers?
Well, even the 12, I haven't seen the 12 police officers.
I've seen pictures of some people. I cannot count the number.
Yes, we haven't seen the 12. Okay. So that's why I don't want to put any number to the people.
That's interesting,
yes. But you'd realize that I saw a video on Joy News where one of your reporters was reporting from inside the Circle Market. Yes. When the protesters started...
They moved out.
Okay, so after the first confrontation, we regrouped at the Circle roundabout, and we're advising them, don't engage with the police. Your reporters will attest to this. It was 3:52. I looked at the time, and then we saw that the police came with, some maximum
to those areas too.
To those areas.
But they had moved away from the protesting grounds.
What they are saying was that some people were burning ties close to. So that's why they came back. It's not true. They should stop lying. You see, let us be honest. When you disperse protesters and some of them ran into market, do you still fire?
Why chase them anyway? But let me take a word from
into the market.
Parliament.
You don't do that.
A member of the Interior Committee of Parliament, a former police officer himself, is Peter Lanchene-Tobu. You're welcome, sir, to UPfront.
Thank you, my brother Ray. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just a minute on this one. Is Parliament interested in any form of review or probe of what happened yesterday?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to our cherished viewers and listeners. I wish I was in the studio for the optics to be right. The interest of Parliament on matters of security cannot ever be underrated. Whatever happens in this country that is security related, very particularly at this time that we are talking about terror threats around our borders, and sometimes we even believe that they are already here, Parliament should be the first body to think that if something is happening in relation to security, we can go to sleep. Parliament is definitely interested in what happened yesterday, is definitely interested in what happened today. And Parliament is excited that at least after this evening, all of us are going back to our various homes to sleep, because some people have gotten the opportunity to express their constitutional mandated right to demonstrate. And some people, the police, have gotten the responsibility to exercise their mandate by providing security for the demonstrators. And at the end of the day, Ghana is still the Ghana that we have. But people must know that if government is behaving irresponsibly, it is a duty of the responsible citizens to rise to the occasion and tell the government, this is unacceptable. We are suffering, and that is exactly what has happened. So Parliament, of course, is interested.
Forgive me, I think we should explore this in detail sometime in the future, but thank you so much, sir. I'm wrapping up with you, Boja. So what's the way forward? More demonstration planned?
Yes, more civil actions. We have a meeting today. We will kick in our next plan. We will by all means have another protest in Accra before we move into the regions.
Which month? Next month?
Yes, we'll communicate. We'll communicate.
Well, many thanks to you for joining us upfront.
But let me thank the people of Ghana for coming out in their numbers. The lovers and supporters of Arise Ghana. We are not a violent group. We are law-abiding citizens. You don't want to
cause instability.
It's a group of about 8 interest, organizations, and many of these groups we know them: COPEC, CPP, PNC. People in the entertainment industry.
The way you are doing vote of thanks, it's taking all the time away.
So we love them. We will come back to them, and we expect that they will respond.
And I'm grateful for your time in studio today too. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching Upfront.